Hello guys, welcome to Drum Teching with Tom. I'm gonna record a morning at one of Brighton's busiest rehearsal studios. Me drum teching basically, so that means fixing drums, tuning drums, and making sure all the drums at the studio are up for another week of being battered by many drummers that come through this place. Hopefully you'll find it interesting. I find it quite interesting, and that's why I've sort of wanted to make this video for a little while. As you can see, I'm just grabbing my stuff for the day upstairs. We call this drum world up here. It's not so much a world as it is a table, and it has everything I need to fix the drums at the studio, and has all the little specialist tools and tiny little specialist parts that usually go missing on drums, or the hardware of drums. So I'm just finishing off grabbing some bits. I've got to grab a drumstick, cleaning product, and now we can head on downstairs. It's pretty dark this morning. I have to start about 8 AM at this studio because they open at 9, and that gives me an hour to get into the rooms without anyone else being there, which is really nice and really helpful. Otherwise it's a bit tough to get into the studio, especially on their busy days. During term time and stuff, they got a lot of unis that use this place, so during term time it is pretty booked up. Gonna make our way into room 11 upstairs. This has a Yamaha stage custom in. There's a lot of these around the studio actually. Nice little red kit. They sound great, and they've like stand the test of time. You can see some of the drums are slightly different. I believe that's a Mapex floor tom in here, because a lot of the times the floor tom legs go first and then we have to fix them, and it's probably on the shelf ready to have new legs or new mounts put on. So I start off cleaning all the drum heads and taking off any tape that's on there. It probably sounds better with the tape, this drum, but visually I think it looks really nice with no tape, and then drummers can decide whether they want to tape it for the sound later. But just visually, and for me cleaning and making sure there's nothing, no splits in the heads that are being covered by tape or dents, you can properly check the drums over, and mainly while I'm cleaning, right, you get rid of all the marks and the horribleness off the top of the heads, but you are constantly checking to see if the stand's broken, if the hoop's bent, if the strainer's working properly, as just general dusting and cleaning and making the drums look nice. Those Yamaha mounts are always a problem, not because they break actually, but because the little wing nuts always go missing, which is a bit of a pain. We've always got to have like backup of those. That's the thing I'm cleaning right there. So now I've finished sort of cleaning the heads. I'm checking the heads, just seeing if there's any little dents. Because there's so many drummers that come through this place, and if I change the heads when they looked a little bit worn, I mean, the drum head bill would be insane at this place. You'll see the drum head storage upstairs in a second, because I do change some heads in this video. I don't think I changed any on this kit though. I think it looked pretty decent. There's a little bit of tape which I didn't see, which I don't really care about the reso, because one, it probably sounds better with that little bit of tape there, and two, visually you don't get to see it. So now I'm checking the kick drum legs there when I was moving that kick drum, because they are another problem area. Kick drum legs constantly being broken, and then the kick drum slides across the room, which no drummer likes. Here I think I forgot something, so I've had to go back down the stairs and then back up the stairs to try and grab it. I think it's my gloves, because as you'll see, it's a pretty dirty job from the state of the gloves. Yeah, there you go. These are my gloves. Horrible, horrible gloves. Also, shout out Tama. I think I forgot my little Tama multi-tool, but this thing is amazing. I love this little tool. I would definitely recommend any drummer, working musician to grab one of these, just because it comes with everything you need, like, to fix drums, basically. All the little Allen keys, the specific sizes that you'll probably come across when you're trying to fix something on your drums or your kick pedal or your hardware. It also comes with a couple of drum keys on this multi-tool and little screwdriver bit. I'm just going to use it now to tune the drums up. A lot of the time they sound pretty good, and a lot of time all they need is a little tune up because they've been detuned over the week, but it all depends on who's been tuning them and what drummers have been in this room. So I aim to get even tension across the head, trying to get the same note. Things like this you come across a lot, little paper in the snare wires. When you play the drum, you could sort of hear it was a little bit choked on the snare wire side, which actually sounded quite cool, I thought. But you could just tell it was a little bit strange when you were playing it. That's why I turned it upside down, because I thought there was something wrong. I thought the snare wire was broken, but just a bit of paper, so that's easy fix. Now I'm going to mess with this snare strainer, that thing on the left there that I'm turning. Because if you get that perfect, it changes the sound of the snare drum massively, in my opinion. It's one of those really easy fixes on a lot of drums you come across the snare. If it's too tight, it completely chokes the drum and can make a good tuned drum sound pretty horrendous. So I'm just fine-tuning that strainer, just making sure. If you hit the drum really light, you should be able to hear those snare wires. It shouldn't sound like a tom when you hit it light on the snare drum. Again, this one sounds alright, it sounds cool. Sounds like a high tom. Tuning the drums we're not too fussy about, just because, again, you get a lot of drummers come through and they'll change it to their likeness. I mean, at 9 AM immediately after I finish in here, a jazz guy might come in and tune everything up, so we can't be too precious about the tuning. You just get it to a point where it sounds okay, or if there's anything mental happening. Recently I've been chucking a couple of extra floor toms in the rooms upstairs, actually. There's a lot of spare drums lying about, and I thought, you know what, give the option. I think that one's an 18 as well. I wanted to do a 16-18 in the rooms upstairs, and it looks like a 16-18. I'm pretty sure it is. It might just be the wide angle, because I'm not 100%. So now we're going to look at the kick drum. You can see it's completely stuffed with blankets, so tuning it isn't really that important because you're just going to get this dead thud with that many blankets inside, especially with an EMAD as well. Like the EMAD has the tone control ring, so it's super dead. I'm just trying to feel if it's loose mainly, because if the head's too loose you get a lot more dents from the kick drum. Find people lay into it quite a lot more, and you can see there's dents in it anyway. But again, we're not changing kick heads every week because they're about £60–70 a head. So if you did that every week, you can imagine in 12 rooms how expensive that would be. So we sort of try and eke them out until they're either splitting or looking like they're about to go, or if there's a lot of dents outside the impact patch. In my head, I sort of keep a log of what's been changed when as well. So if I know something's been on there for quite a long time, I'll come back to it, and that'll be in my head like, okay, that needs to change this week. Checking those kick drum legs, making sure they're all right. And then now I'm going to move on to the next room. I think jump into room 9 here, just because it was open. Got a Gretsch Renown in this room, which is really nice, in a white marine pearl. So wicked little kit, this one. Here's Nelson.
Hello.
This is Hannah's dog. She's a very cute dog. She was running around the studio all morning, which is really nice. So again, just starting off cleaning the heads. I've already clocked that the snare drum head in here is pretty battered. Like I said, when I start to see the clear plastic and the coating starts to wear off, that's quite a good indicator for me. Means it's time to change the head out. What I'm cleaning with as well is just a mixture of water and washing up liquid. No particular brand. I just find it's the sort of easiest, cheapest way to clean the drum heads mainly, and it works quite well on all the grime and like residue on the drums themselves. Gonna check the hardware again in this room, make sure everything's all right, nothing's falling down, everything works. That wing nut was super tight, so just making sure it's not broken. Another good use of the tool there has a wing nut sort of like helper opener thing. I don't know what you would call that, but usually you would use 2 drumsticks. That's like the old school method. There's a sort of wrench on the wing nuts that you can't unscrew. So as you can see here, this kick drum leg moves when it shouldn't. So that's like a great example, seeing that, of what happens to these kick drum legs, which makes them move across the floor when you're playing them. The Gretsch has a sort of memory lock thing, so it doesn't move so much, so the leg then is just like completely pushed out. So you can get away with this one if it's set up right, meaning that both legs are set at the same height. It actually works quite well. It doesn't actually move that much. So here I was just setting that up because one side was like really high, which will cause that leg to be more of a nuisance and move that kick drum. So now I'm going to go grab a drum head because I know I need to change that snare drum, which means running back down and then up the stairs again, which is a lot. I definitely get my steps in, I think, working here in the morning. It's a lot of up and down. I used to do it so I'd keep a log of each room, so I'd go around, clean, log on my phone what heads needed in what head was needed in what room, and then I'd come back afterwards, so I'd do less trips upstairs. But I found I was carrying so many heads and it got really like annoying, because you'd have the old heads, you'd take them off, then you'd have the box of the new head, and with all the other heads, say you had 2 kick drum heads, yeah, it got really annoying. So I just run it one room at a time now and just focus on a particular room. So I'm going to grab this little drill. I actually bought this drill last week. So I used to use like an impact driver, like a normal one. But this little thing I bought off Amazon, I think for like 15 quid. And it's been wicked, actually. It's small enough that I can carry it around. It's not heavy. And it works really well. It doesn't have as much torque, so it's a little bit slower than using like a traditional impact driver or drill. But it's it works like really well in my opinion. And not having as much torque is sometimes a good thing, because obviously a lot of people don't like using drills on their drums or impact drivers because the torque can strip the tension rods and cause all sorts of damage. But this little thing, I don't think really has enough torque to cause too much damage. But as you'll see, I start everything off with my fingers, and I'll talk us through it when we get there. So back up these stairs, probably a little bit slower than last time, as the stairs are getting to me at this point. And now we can start taking the old head off. You can see it's not the fastest drill in the world, but it gets the job done, and it saves me going around with the key and having to twist the key like 5 million times. I'm now trying to balance everything on the floor toggle, which is never going to work. I'm going to move the snare drum up because it was a little bit low for me, so I was having to bend over, which was annoying. So now I can sit down on the drum stool and do it comfortably. Just missed one there, so just gotta take out the last little bit. You can see all that horrible stuff around the hoop now. Trying to avoid getting it everywhere on the floor when I take that hoop off. And there was like loads of stick debris and like dust on the inside as well, so I'm just gonna go bang it out in the bin. That's in the corridor. It's a nice sound. When you got the head off like this is probably the best time you get to do a little inspection of the bearing edges and make sure the screws are tight on the inside the shell, which I tend to do. Just quickly check all the tension rod holes and stuff. And again, I don't have a lot of time in the mornings, so if there is anything big, I do clock that and I'll do that. If it's something I can do when the studio's open upstairs, that's when I'll do the sort of bigger stuff. So I'll take this. I would probably, if there was something wrong with this snare, I would just swap it out with a different snare and leave this one upstairs for me to take a look at when the studio's open. Tiny bit of dust stuck in the bottom of the drum there that I'm just blowing out. We got these, so we usually use UV2s on all our drums because they're super durable. Like the finish is really nice and easy to clean. Even when it gets like super dirty, it just rubs straight off with a bit of water, and it doesn't like fade like other finishes. But this time I think we bought the EC2 sort of reverse dot heads. I can't remember if they're exactly called that, but the yeah, these Evan heads, which actually have lasted quite well. We got them because they were on a deal, so we were buying like 20 of them. So it makes a big difference if you're buying like a big batch. And they sound great, to be fair. I probably wouldn't use them on my own snare drums. But at a rehearsal studio, yeah, they're wicked. They last long enough, which is nice. They've got like the frosted coating. I think they probably do these in a clear as well. I'm not 100% sure, but these are the frosted ones. And obviously with the impact patch in the middle, it helps. So here, I'm just putting the drum head back on finger tight. I've found a tension rod over here that doesn't want to go back home. It happens a lot when you take these old drums apart and maybe you're not in the same hole that this tension rod came from before. So the thread isn't lining up or it needs a bit of a clean, just so it seats itself back. I would usually put a little bit of Vaseline on the tension rods as well. But I didn't have any in my little pouch today, and I didn't want to go back downstairs and upstairs to grab some. So we're going to make do with what we've got. All the others are fine. They're all going finger tight, which is good. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just tightening up those tension rods so they're finger tight all around the head. That one on the left there is still a problem. I've sort of clocked it in my head. This part's probably where all my gloves get super dirty. As you can see, I'm constantly touching tension rods, and they usually have like a little bit of grease on them from factory just to help them go in. Now I'm pushing down on the hoop and finishing off the finger tightening process. That just gives you a little bit extra when you push on the hoop, so you can really pinch up the tension rods. That one's still not going in though, the one bottom left, so I'm going to try and find a different tension rod, because I think it was the thread on the tension rod when I looked at it before looked a little bit rubbish, so I thought I'd grab a new tension rod and see if that works. And I don't think they're the right size. It's a little bit longer, but the thread size looked the same. So we'll try and put that one in. It's thinking about it. I think it's not quite the right size, so I'm gonna try and find a different one in my work pouch and just see if we can find one that's exactly the same size. I carry a lot of spares in the work belt, so I usually have everything I need, and that prevents me from, again, going down and up the stairs. But this time I don't think I actually did, or I couldn't find it. Sometimes they're like, if I probably carry one spare and it's like right at the bottom of the pocket. That's why I'm really digging deep. So I didn't find one, so now I'm going to try and clean this one, which I wouldn't recommend using like a water-based cleaner on tension rods, because rust is a thing and it can be problematic for your drums. So if you do, just clean it, make sure it's super dry before you put it back in. But something like Vaseline is a lot better. But there you go, it went straight in. So it was obviously just a thread that was dirty. It might be a little bit of metal stuck in one of the threads, but now it's going in perfectly. So now we can finish up the finger tightening, and then what I do to save on time, because again I still got a lot more rooms to go today, I just give it one hit of the drill. That usually gives me about a turn, and that just takes it up that turn, and I'm pretty accurate with it now. It's not as accurate as doing it with a key, obviously, but I'm pretty good at it. Like the pressure, how long to put the drill on for, and that takes it to a place where I can then start to tune. This is me seating the head. Should have seated the head a little bit earlier, but I got distracted by the tension rod problem. And now we can start tuning the drum. So again, just checking the note around the drum, tuning it up. And we're going to take this drum fairly high. I guess it's medium-high tuning. The sort of all-round tuning for most genres. But again, this drum might get detuned straight away, so we don't spend too much time making it perfect. It's just got to sound good. There's me calling for Nelson again. So we're getting there. I'm just using my fingers to tap the drum at the minute. And then we'll move on to the stick in a second. And just trying to get the same tuning across the head, across the drum. I wouldn't say there's like a particular science to tuning. It's more feel and just using your ears. I see a lot of people using drum dials these days, which, to be honest, I haven't actually used. I am interested in using one because that might, make the job a lot easier. But I quite like, just tuning by ear. It's quite fun. I find sometimes when it's a little bit out of tune, it's got something about it, So yeah, we're pretty high here. Starting to sound like a snare drum, which is good. Now, I just put my finger in the middle of the drum. I don't know if anyone's seen this, but it sort of allows me to hear more of an accurate pitch on the different lugs and tension rods, without any sort of overtones getting in the way. So here I'm using the drumstick now. I actually found this stick in one of the rooms, and it's got a nylon tip. I don't use nylon tips in my actual playing, but for tuning I actually think they're pretty great because you've got a consistent surface, right? A consistent head, and it's plastic, and I find it just gives you like a proper note. And you don't have any flat spots, like on a wood hedge, sometimes you get flat spots or little chips that happen. On a nylon tip, it's going to be consistent every time you hit the drum. But I do not use them in my playing. I don't really like how they sound on cymbals. So we're still going up, we're still tuning this thing up. It's going higher. It's always funny watching it back and hearing the differences. It's like watching yourself playing. I don't know if any of you have recorded yourself playing drums. You're always more self-critical when you watch it back in the moment than in the moment. In the moment, you're like, yeah, that'll do. That's cool. That sounds sick. And then I'm hearing some of these tensions and pitches, and yeah, it's interesting. I guess it's all a learning experience, isn't it? Which is great. Yeah, there you go. It's starting to sound good. I think that we're pretty much there now. Got to carry on with the rest of the drum kit, just cleaning it up, and then we can start tuning it as well. I had one of these white marine pearl renowns once, and they're great kits. They're quite heavy, and a little bit bright sounding for me. I don't know what it was. I think they sound awesome, and they're really, really good kits. Really well made, actually, for the price, because it's their mid-range kit. So, but for a mid-range kit, I think they're great. It's just, for me, I think the sound was a little bit too like bright and lively. And again, they were quite heavy, which, if you play a lot of gigs and you're taking drums out of your car, you try and get as light of a rig as possible if you can. It sounds pretty good. The all of the sort of tom mounts for these renowns have actually broken, and the lugs, they sort of strip to a point where they don't even tighten anymore, so you have to buy new parts for them, which we haven't done. So they're all on snare stands, which gives them a bit more of a dead tone, to be honest. The snare stand sort of kills the high tom, but they sound great, and most people using the studio actually prefer, I think, it on a snare drum stand than on a drum mount. It's just we don't have enough snare drum stands for every single room. So here I just found a cymbal stand without a top on it. So we're going to take that with us on our journey and try and find a top for that whenever we're back in Drumworld. I'm just looking around the room before I take it with me, just because a lot of the times missing parts will just end up on the floor, or they'll end up in the corner of the room, or they'll end up in the Hoover. I mean, who knows where they go, but they do go, never to be seen again. Moving on now to room 8. This is the second to last room upstairs. There's one more after this one. And this is a Tama. I think it's a Star Classic, I believe. But this kit's been here for years. And it is my favourite, actually, out of all of them. I love it. I love the finish. I think it sounds wicked. It's a little 20 by... I think it's 20 by 16 or 20 by 18. It's quite a deep kick. Small but deep. It's got an 18, 16, 18 floor toms and a 12-inch rack. Again, on a snare drum stand, but it sounds wicked, and I love it when it's a little bit battered as well. You'll see how much snare rash that high tom has. I'm a big fan of like snare rash on high toms. I just think it makes it look cooler. I don't know what it is. I mean, there's a certain level to it. Like, it's got to be a decent kit in the first place. I think that's the thing. It's like having a nice kit, like an old Gretsch, right? There's a horrible piece of moon gel. There's a lot of these. I just take them off because they are disgusting and they start to melt onto the head, which is not great. But yeah, if you have a great kit, like an old Gretsch broadcaster vintage, and it's got some like damage to it, I think that thing just looks wicked. I know some people love their drums super clean and tidy. Same with cymbals. Some people polish their cymbals. I prefer it when they're nice and dirty and have some patina to them. I think they just look wicked. But yeah, I wouldn't know what this finish is actually. It's a sparkle, but it's like a green gold sparkle? Or brass? I don't know what you'd call it, but yeah, just cleaning off the heads now. Same as before, same deal, just checking the drums, checking the heads, cleaning the hoops. Every time I'm doing this, I'm checking all the lugs and tension rods, just making everything super tight. I will miss stuff as well. No one's perfect, but I try and hit all the points. Oh, that's a good view. This is funny because I don't see this footage until I do the voiceover, and yeah, a lot of these angles are not great with the chest strap. So there's something wrong with this snare drum stand. This is like a good example of like when you're cleaning the drums, you're just trying to find out what's wrong, moving stuff around. And this wasn't sitting right, so I think it's just a case it wasn't tight onto the drum. You don't want a snare drum stand super tight onto the drum, because like I said, they do choke the drum. And the tighter the snare drum stand is, the more choked that drum's gonna be. So, but yeah, this kit sounds pretty big, to be fair. Bombastic is the word for this drum kit, I think. And we're just gonna start tuning. Again, thought there might be something wrong with the reso there, but not. I think it's just the snare wires on this one were super tight. Like I said before, you've got to loosen your snare wires, guys. So when you hit it light, you should be able to hear the snare bars. It shouldn't sound like a tom, right? When you hit the snare drum super, super light. We're looking for something. What have we found? What have we seen? Oh, it's just the tune. It's just the Tama multi-key. Just taking this one up a little bit. You can see there the hoop. I'm just having a look. The hoop's actually bent on this snare drum, so it could do with hoop replacement. I see this a lot actually in these rooms. I think because the snare gets changed out so often with other people's snares. Like drummers tend to bring their own snare drums. It just gets thrown on the floor. Like people don't care when it's not necessarily their gear, so it gets thrown around, and the snare drum hoops end up getting bent, which is annoying for tuning because it'll miss the head slightly over that side, so you have to tend to tune that one a little bit higher, and you can get it sounding great. Like this snare drum sounds wicked, so I'm not too fussed about it. Kit in here sounds wicked. Just tuning the floor tom up, it was quite low. The 18's always been a problem in this room, and I think I'll give it some love in a minute because I can see there's a little split on the head right next to that tension rod that I've just done. There's a little split, and I've just found it, which it doesn't go all the way through. I think there's 2-ply head, so I think it's just the top ply, but that'll be an indication that that will go pretty soon. And this, I know this head has been on there for ages. I've also had the idea to put cotton balls in that drum for a long time. It's just I haven't had the time to take the head off. So now I've got the opportunity. I'm going to change the head. I'm going to chuck some cotton balls in it to control some of the resonance and hopefully make it sound a lot better. So I'm just going to check through these sort of second-hand heads. The Cure were at the studio the week before, and the drummer left loads of drum heads, which is really nice. Which has left us with pretty decent nick. Like you can see here, I'm looking for these 18-inch EC2s. And there's a lot of 18-inch, to be fair, EC2s that are like barely played. And you can see they're played because they've got like little marks on them. These ones are dusty because they've just been in this box for ages. So they're pretty good to go. I mean, they don't have splits, they're just dusty, a couple of stick marks. But I'm trying to use these all up before I use the UV2s, because these ones are, well, essentially free because they've been here for so long. And the second-hand ones are literally free. And they sound pretty good, to be fair. It'd be nice if you could do coated heads on the whole kit, or EC2s on the whole kit. Really? But it's oh, there's me. Yeah, it's just a needs must, and it's a money thing as well. If you're a drummer, you know how much drum heads cost to rehead a whole kit. You're talking over £100 probably nowadays. Depends if you're doing reso heads and batter heads. These rooms upstairs are really nice as well because they all have windows, which is rare for studios because obviously you need to have a soundproof room. So there's not many that have windows in and around Brighton, because Brighton's a small city in the UK and it's not built to have loud musicians. But this studio is fortunate. They basically back on, or the front's on a main road, so, and it's next to a bus depot, so you're it's a loud place anyway, and they've got no neighbours that would really complain. Just going to clean the hoop here from all the dust and horrible stuff that gets embedded in the hoop over the months this head has been on there. So now I'm going to chuck the cotton balls in. I think I did about 4. Generally 4 feels right to me, 4 or 5. Sounds Like a Drum YouTube channel actually did a really great video on cotton balls in drums, and they went up on a scale 1, 2, 3, 4, and they actually found the perfect amount, but I can't actually remember what that was. I want to say it was 4, maybe it was less. I can't actually remember. But I think it depends on your drum. Listen to the drum and see. I just didn't want to take any back out, so I wouldn't put loads in this one. The 18 could probably take a bit more, but I didn't want to put loads in and then have to take the head off again. I feel like 4 or 5 would be enough to take the edge off without taping the underside head, the reso head. So to save on time, I'm just starting all these off with the drill. I'm taking them just to above when they hit the rim, so they shouldn't. And then you can see there with my left hand, I'm sort of finishing it off with my fingers. So we are doing finger tight. This just saves me destroying my fingers for a morning. So then we're going to go around and do finger tight. These die-cast hoops are a little bit harder to do the finger tightening on because it doesn't give you a lot of room between the hoop and the lug. Not for my fingers anyway, and it's actually quite annoying. Partly why I use the drill, I think. So I'm pushing down on the hoop again, getting them properly finger tight. Important to try and use equal pressure when you push down. Then I'm seating the head, which isn't as important because it is a second-hand head, so it's going to have some. It's probably already been seated to a different drum, but it makes me feel good. There goes the drill bit. I don't know why it's not staying in now. It did really well, and then all of a sudden it's falling out. But you can see on this head, so I'm just doing the same thing as before. I'm just taking it up just a little bit with the drill. But you can see this bottom right hand corner. It's quite nice with the light because you can actually see the wrinkles in the head. I would say that's probably a little bit stretched, so I've taken that bottom right corner up quite high, to be honest. I could feel it was going up higher than I would want it, but I just wanted to take the wrinkles out and see if it would seat itself and see if it would sort itself out a little bit. And now I'm taking a lot of the lugs, a lot of the tension rods back down, but you can still see there's a wrinkle down there. So the wrinkle will probably have to stay, and it'll probably sound great, to be honest. It will sound massive and big, like you want your 18-inch floor tom to sound like, right? You can hear it, right? It's got so much resonance. So I've put those cotton balls in there to help some of that resonance, but because it's such a big drum and we are using clear heads on it, it does go. It goes and goes. So it could have done with a few more cotton balls, but it's going to sound a lot better than without any cotton balls, in my opinion. It's really interesting to see the difference, right, between a coated and a clear head. I think that demonstrates it really well. It's that attack, right? Less warmth, more attack. Brighter sounding. I'm a coated head guy. I think they sound a lot nicer. Especially on recordings. I really like them. I'm just taking the kick drum down a little bit because I hit it and I think it felt super tight. Which, when a kick is like super tight, it starts to sound a little bit choked to me. So I like to take it down just a tiny bit, just to make it sound really nice. Morning! I'm good, man. How are you? Here's Corin. I didn't realise you were in today. He works at the studio. He does all like the hires and rentals and yeah. Fix the drums. Works at Brighton Electric. I love Nelson. I'm just checking the kick drum legs while having a chat, just to see if they're broken like most of the others, or if they're about to go. But these Tama ones actually are super solid. Like I actually really like these Tama legs. They work really well, and they rarely break. I mean, they're never broken for me. It looks like they've broken for someone in the past because one of them has got a different wing nut and they look slightly different, but for me they've been solid. And yeah, I mean, I don't love Tama, by the way. I know it seems I'm shouting about their drum key, I'm shouting about their drum kit. Maybe I do love Tama actually. I did have a Tama. Tama was my first ever drum kit. It was one of the Tama Superstars, not the really old Superstars, the ones from like the 90s or early 2000s, and it was a wicked kit. So yeah, maybe I do love Tama. I don't actually play them at the minute. I don't have a Tama kit, but they do actually generally make really solid stuff, and so do most of the drum companies, to be fair, most of the big ones. There's certain things that I don't like. I'm not a massive fan of Mapex hardware. I've just had a lot of problems with it in rehearsal studios. And drum stools, I don't think I've found a drum stool that I think's really, really good. Gibraltar are my go-to. They seem super solid and decent money. You can spend a lot of money, like this studio, Brighton Electric, are currently upgrading all their drum stools to the Rock and Sock hydraulic, which are great, like they're wicked, but they do cost a lot of money. Here I'm just tidying up the old heads that are upstairs. And yeah, that Tama sounded good. We're pretty much close to the end. I don't think I'll go back down and finish that last room in this video. I think I'm going to try and now fix that cymbal stand that we got from the Renown room. See if I can find some parts for it upstairs. We've got a lot of spare parts up here, which is really handy. You can see like all the memory locks in there, all the wing nuts, all the cymbal tops. It needs a proper sort, but that could maybe be another video. I mean, that's a very James May video, is sorting out all this stuff, and it would take quite some time as well. I mean, the amount of stuff is crazy, but it would be nice if it was all organized neatly on the wall. Maybe I get one of those shelves, you know, where those little red buckets on the right, maybe organized on a nice slatted wall would actually be really nice, because at the minute there is a lot of random bolts and washers and screws just lying around, and I sort of have to search through them all. In my head I sort of have a it's basically organized in my head, but yeah, we're just trying to find the cymbal top at the minute for that cymbal stand, which I think I realized I don't actually have any, so I'm gonna go have to pinch off some of the spare hardware we have downstairs. Alright, back down we go. So we do hold spare hardware downstairs, and I have some upstairs as well, mainly for parts, but it's also with there's a bucket around the corner that you'll see in a minute that holds all of like the spare like random bits of hardware, floor tom legs, cymbal boom arms. I mean, this thing has got, yeah, this thing's got a lot of stuff. So I'm just having a little look with my torch, seeing if I can find the right bit. I think I found a pearl one. That might do the job. You can see how that's like spare, right? Because it's pretty much broken. You can see me moving that top around. And it doesn't have a traditional wing nut to tighten it. It has that little weird little screw thing, which isn't ideal for rehearsal studios when you've got a lot of people coming in and using the space. So we've got 2 now. I found another one in that bucket, little spares bucket I have upstairs to the left. So now we're going to try and take off the top of this one. Which gives me a bit of trouble in the first place. It's not ideal. And then I quickly realise I'm actually missing loosening off a grub screw. Which again, the Tama tool has all the little Allen keys on it. Because it does take a really small Allen key for most of the grub screws you have on drum hardware. So yeah, I just cracked that off and then I should be able to get it off. This is like the climax of the video now. I mean, if you've stayed this long, fair play. This is it. This is the satisfaction, right? Of finding a part and fixing things. This top of the cymbal stand was really hard to get off, which leaves the question, how did it get off in the first place, right? We'll never know. But if someone didn't have a spanner to get it off, how did it come off? It's not sheared off. It's literally it's screwed off. And I'm struggling to get it off with a spanner. So God knows where that went. Now I just got to check if it's the right part. And look at that, amazing. Fits like a glove. I don't even know if that's a pearl stand. I don't think it is a pearl stand, but it's so nice when you find universally fitting parts in these company stands. It just makes it so much easier. So I'm just going to tighten this up, and I'm going to try and tighten it quite tight. Obviously it was really tight, so I'm going to try and go pretty tight, and hopefully it won't come off again. This is actually the first time I've actually had a cymbal stand that the top's gone missing. This isn't a regular thing. Chucking those back in the bucket. You never know when you're going to need them again. I'm just checking that drum stall base there, because the room with the Tama had a little bit of a wobbly drum stall in it. But I managed to make it seat a little bit better, but that could do with replacing, but like I said, they are all getting replaced slowly. It is just a matter of time. These are the kick drum legs that we've ordered in, so they'll be going on. A lot of the Yamaha kits, I think I've done a couple. I think I did one more actually after this video finishes, because my GoPro ran out of charge about an hour in, which is right about now. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Hopefully catch you in the next one. Cheers.